Hey y'all, I'm Brendan Williams. I paint under the name of BW, and I create recognition for a living. The name of this painting is Lost and Found. Somewhere inside of it, it features a person that is potentially lost. However, what I'm curious about is what happens once you find them. All right, let's work on this painting. See what happens today. All right, this painting has been a whole lot of fun. And today we're gonna learn about one of the things that makes this painting fun. And it's how to paint water without a reference. What? Yeah, we finna do it like that. Why do we want to do it that way? Well, once we learn the principles of how the water moves and we're able to paint it, then we're able to paint our story, right? We're able to paint into the water. We're able to paint pictures that we need to paint into the water instead of just like rendering an image of water. The difference being exploration versus following instructions. Okay. So how do we do it? All right, well, here's step one. Well, let me do this first. I'm going to give you an acronym. And the acronym is WAVE. WAVE? Did he say we're going to paint water using an acronym called WAVE? Yes, I did. All right, so the W, let's go ahead and start there, is painting a wall. A wall? Ain't no walls in water? Yes, there are. All right, and that's what I'm doing right now. So this is my wall, and it's dark, right? Your wall should also be dark. Next is the A. What's the A, Emmy? Do you know? You don't know? The A is the angle. Okay, so the wall determines the height of the wave. The angle reflects, this is where reflection happens. Yes. Started a little late today because there was an animal in our attic. Oh man, and it was just doing the most last night. Couldn't nobody get no sleep. Anyway, the angle is where reflection happens, right? And what is the water reflecting? The light, the sun, and the sky. Interesting thing here, the water, the angle is being pushed down. Right? So that angles down and away from us in general, but because of its angle, it reflects the sky and the sun. Okay. What's the V? The V is variation. Okay, we've got some variation here already. That's pretty cool. But as the wind blows over the water, it doesn't necessarily blow, in perfect geometric sheets, right? So I can put a break in the wall. Maybe here, there's, break in the wave. Now this water isn't on the same, it's in the same plane, but it's not on the exact same time as this part over here, right? Just because I put that little break in there. We can also make the water uneven, right? We can put like some symbolic waves in there. All right, and this is working the wall. But something's going on there. My blue is a little light. It's okay. We'll come back to this. Next thing, we're still on the V. We're still on variations. So right now, this sheet is pretty much exclusively shining and reflecting back to the sun. But one thing that I think is pretty cool here is I've got a gradient that's happening. It's like perfect timing. So I'm going to use that to help me paint a little less. So I'm just going to paint like, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paint some bits of the water that are reflecting back to the sky. You just kind of pick them as you want them. More is less, less is more is more, less is less. One of those situations is variation. So, mix it up, have fun. Paint your picture. This is why we're learning how to paint water without a reference, so that we can paint our picture. Okay. And then as I come over here into the dark, on the left side, I'm gonna put my brighter spots because the sun is back. It's on the left, right? The sun is on the left, correct? All right, and then the darker spots, well, the ones that are just reflecting the sky and not the sun, they'll be on the right side, correct? Because they're reflecting the sky that comes from over here. And then boom, there it is. Well, we're missing one thing. We probably need some more variation in the water. But one of the ways that I can get that variation is through something that I call, the E of our acronym. And those are exciters. Okay, so I'm going to drop in a little bit of red here and there. And what is this? I don't know. I'm not a fisherman, but maybe, just maybe, since water is clear, we would be able to see where a fish was if we look into the wall. Now, I'm not saying that every single one of these is a fish, but like maybe it's a rock, maybe it's a turtle, maybe it's a hole in the ground of the lake that we're able to see through. But the E, once again, stands for exciters, right? So we'll have exciters inside of the wall. We'll have exciters in the angle. Maybe it's like a hard glisten. Maybe it's a little bit of foam. on the transition between wall and angle. But boom, there it is. Just a few notes, the calmer, the smoother your lines are, the calmer the water is, right? And in my case, I'm not looking to make like a placid water scene. Like I need this to be like a flow. I don't want it to be a pond. I want it to be something that flows, like because of I need this water to flow. I need it to have energy, right? Because that's something that's very important to my painting, and that's why I was saying what I was saying just a moment ago. You have to paint your painting. You don't. I mean, sure, you could find photo references of calm waters or rapid waters. But if you can also learn how to paint a left side and a right side, left side bright, right side darker, you can create, it makes it a whole lot easier to create that variation, those variable patterns. I'm not sure exactly on that one, but I think hopefully you can get what I'm putting down. You're tracking what I'm putting down without needing to go back and watching this again. Because guess what? If you go back and watch it again, I'm going to say it the exact same way that I said it this time. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so what else could be? Let's just visit the E just a little bit more. What else could be an E? Yellow could be an E. We're getting closer to these rocks over here, so like, why wouldn't there be like some reflection of the area around it, a color change. So like this wall, right? This is also going to be, the color of the wall is also going to be affected by the color of what's underneath the water, right? So like if we had like white sand, maybe. White sand? I don't know. What would make the water look like that aqua green? We know the sky is blue. Sky blue, but we got to mix a second color to get aqua green. So then that means we're going to have like white, yellow sand. Oh, great heavens. He just cracked the code for me. I hope I did. All right. Man, this painting just came to me one day. Like a visitor knocking on my door. But, I mean, And it was like, man, you gotta tell my story. And I was like, man, no, yeah, no problem. I got you. I can do it for you. I can tell your story. And like the thought behind it was something like, I don't know, man. It was kind of, it's a tricky one. But all in all, I believe it to be a painting of hope, a painting of restored dignity. You know, tragedy befalls this person, and they're lost. But then you come along and you find them. And like in that act of finding them, that like it restores them. There's another part to it that's kind of that I the more I paint, the more I see this one. And you know, for me, I look at this painting in a particular order. I look at it, and I look at the sky. Then I look at the water. Then I look at the person, and I kind of start going through this cycle, and I find the person, and then I let them go. And then I start it over again. I start the process over again. I look at the sky, then I look at the water, and then I look at them. And it's like, and then when that happens for me, after I've gone through the cycle a couple of times, after I've gone through the loop a couple of times, it becomes, I kind of get this new meaning from the painting where it's like, hey, tragic things will happen, but the beauty is like life will go on. And the life that goes on will be beautiful. And that's like encouraging for me because it's like an offering of grace. Yes, things went awry, things went wrong, but they will not be wrong forever. Yes, things will go wrong, but they will be beautiful again. Okay, so now I keep repeating this pattern. Up, 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 up. So maybe I'll get back into philosophy here in just a second, but for a moment, let's talk about structure. You know, I'm also trying to communicate perspective, right? So as I get closer to the horizon, there would be more, right? There'd be more walls. There'd be more angles. I'm actually not gonna. I rendered this, like I just kind of copied it from the photo. I'm not gonna paint over it. I mean, the photo, I copied this section from the image reference, but I'm not gonna paint over it. Now, whenever I work on this side, guess what? It's probably going to flip. The things, I don't know. We'll have to check out perspective. Right now, it should be something like sheets of water. Right? So paint your walls first. Get your structure right. Make sure, if your structure is wrong, then it ain't gonna matter what you do. The waves they're gonna fight you at every corner, and they're gonna fight you because the structure's wrong. Ow, make no sense at all. 1 and 1 makes 2, 2 and 2 makes 3, 3 and 3 makes 16. Oh, 16. Oh, makes no sense at all. Like, I think technically I've got some perspective issues here, but it'll buff, right? I mean, and probably the same for you. But if I would have started off, had I started off this way, my perspective presentation would be much stronger, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. But like I said at the very beginning of this video, like, I'm curious to know what happens for you once you discover our lost person. So don't be scared. Write me a comment. Let me know. Let's talk about it. All right, so we got about 7 more minutes. Look. I'm gonna look at it for a couple of seconds. I mean, you gotta check your work. You don't want to overpaint. Overpaint? What's that? You don't want to just start like showing off. I think one of the risks of a painting is making it about you. Like, most any of us are like really ever allowed to make the painting about. I mean, a good painting, the most it'll ever be about you is signing your name in the bottom right or bottom left. Look, and that's not coming on this painting. And it's not coming on this painting because, for me, because I've already used my signature brush. And I got this thing, y'all. I got this thing where I will only use three brushes on a painting. So something else about this angle thing, I'm jumping back and forth between philosophy and painting. I don't apologize. Look, this 30 minutes is production time. So look, sometimes it's going to be lessons. Sometimes it's going to be thought. This is happening in real time. So, but what I was getting at was that the angle the angle itself is going to exist on a gradient, right? So because it exists on a gradient, it's going to be widest at the meeting of the wall and the angle. And it's going to be darkest just before the wave. Just before the wall. My bad. That's the general color, right? All right, so one of the things that I'm going to ask for here to help save the painting so I don't end up with some crazy thing is a major break. Major break right here. Okay, and then I know we've got this rock here, and I don't want to put the rock. I don't want to make it the star of the show. I just like this rock doesn't. It needs to be there compositionally, but only compositionally. So how do we make this rock look like a rock without going into detail, without becoming water? And maybe that's tomorrow's lesson. I'll show you all that tomorrow. Stay tuned for that one. All right, we're at 27 minutes, so that means it's just about game time. Because it's game time, I want to come back to the philosophy and just in general, you know, I've realized that the painting isn't really about the shoreline. It's about what happens after we notice someone, right? Hope can come from finding the person we've lost. Hope can also come from learning to let them go. Either way, the water keeps moving. The light keeps returning. And somehow there is still beauty, right? I think this painting belongs to anyone who has ever searched, or anyone who has ever had to let go. Let's see, 29:14. I want to thank you all for painting with me today. I will be back again tomorrow as we learn how to paint an object solid but out of focus. Maybe I'll come up with an acronym. It'll be ROCK. All right, y'all be blessed.